I don't know what is happening in MAGA world, but they're going full throwback to like air traffic controller level headgear. Plenty of men with an enlarged prostate do not know about this simple solution. Boink. No, that's not what they're talking about.
Can't want to bring in Darren Beattie. We got Darren.
So good. Let's bring in Darren Beattie. The only guy who looks worse on camera than you do, Steve. And he just gave up on trying a long time ago. Is that what it is? Just fuck it.
For a few minutes, he's going to hang with us, and we got.
Oh, hey, cool. It's a hang, people. Let's do it.
Hopefully, Kathy Barnett.
Hopefully she can come by. We can all hang out. You know.
I guess these politicians are on all over the map today, which they should be. Darren, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't I put?
You're wrong. I mean, I don't know what specifically you're talking about, but it's happened so often. I just feel like I should put
a thing on disclosure. I think I sent to you that the bots. There's a report out that said the bots are at least 10% to 15% of Twitter's total active users.
Yeah. Right. Most of them are the people that call for violence or try to turn groups against one another, and a lot of them are bought and paid for by the likes of Steve Bannon's buddy Gore and the MAGA crowd.
Right, some independent group. And
yeah, it's an independent group.
Obviously, Musk knew that. Let's talk about the.
Obviously, it has nothing to do with the fact that he leveraged the money and the cash he was going to use to buy Twitter against his Tesla stock, and it had to stay above $740 a share for him to be able to leverage that amount of money, and it dropped to $728, and so he put the whole thing on pause because he couldn't get access to the funding from his own stock, because everybody was like, well, it's going to keep going down, and we were worried about being able to make that money back.
Twitter deal. Before I'm going to bring you back on the most important issues about the collapse of the complex system.
Yeah, the collapse of the complex system. Thank God. So we can go back to simpler times, you know, where people died of consumption after a gunfight using a 6-shooter, and as your wife developed a laudanum addiction.
And our corrupt establishment voting to send $40 billion. Darren Beattie had an amazing piece.
Voting to send $40 billion to Ukraine, by the way.
It's the reason we got an amazing piece about this entire topic. Right, and what the $40 billion and who's supporting it, the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, totally. Didn't you love the horseshoe theory around these assholes right now? When it serves them, all of a sudden they're against military expansion and adventurism by the U.S. government. Now it's bad. Now because it's Russia and Russia's getting their ass handed to them. Suddenly these guys are like, look at this fucking Raytheon was making all this money. Oh, fuck off.
My sources.
By the way, the fucking javelins and the howitzers are both come from BAE.
Just tell me, Mitch McConnell's staff,
not Raytheon. Although Raytheon makes the rocket projectiles that they're using in some of the howitzers.
Reddit got to Mitch, and Mitch said, "Book me on a red eye. I want to show Darren Beattie and Steve Bannon what I think of their thoughts, their great thoughts on this topic." He flew to Kiev with a delegation of Republicans to push this $40 billion. We're going to get to all that, but tell me about Twitter first, sir.
Yeah, give us the real story. I mean, I recognize that there are enormous mass graves, and Mariupol is the site of one of the worst atrocities since World War II, and we're looking at a Pol Pot type of scheme under Putin, even within his own fucking country, going forward. And he might be dying, and Deutsche Bank obviously won't be able to launder money for the Republicans in the next election cycle and the one after that, which is a little, I can understand where you're nervy. But tell us about Twitter.
Well, it looks like there's a little bump in the road, a little delay, and the delay might turn out to be in Elon's favor.
No. He's going to drive the stock price down with his bullshit about 15% bots.
Might end up getting a cheaper price. Who knows? Well,
he has to, because the stock he was using as leverage to get his own money to buy it went down.
Just have to kind of wait and see.
Great.
Though,
yeah, we'll have to wait. You know, guys, I know you're excited that Trump was going to come back to Twitter and he was going to be set free, but it's just a slight pause. It's 2 weeks away.
Elon has
2 weeks.
Stated,
just like his taxes, just like his healthcare plan. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Affirmatively and explicitly that he has every intention of going through with the deal. So we'll just have to see how it develops.
Yeah, breaking news. Great. Editor at Revolver News. Very exciting.
Does this show you that what I've been saying is that
No, this does not align at all with what you've been saying. As a matter of fact, it's in direct contradiction to what you said was going to happen like a week and a half ago when the deal was still hot.
his bid was too high? But let's leave that aside. It shows you that it's not really. It's a group of scumbags.
Right. That's, well, you mean your show, or?
They will lie and misrepresent and try to shut down the commander in chief and try to take some conservative voices off there and not want to talk about the Wuhan.
I don't know. Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens and a bunch of those assholes still have their accounts. It's really, it's not about the terms of service. It's about vocabulary and the ability to communicate.
On lab and not talk about the hard drive from the laptop from hell and not.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, he corrected himself. Did you guys see that? Aha. Somebody's been watching my takedowns. Somebody's noticed that I called him out. There is no laptop. It's a bunch of bullshit. And this asshole keeps saying the hard drive from hell.
I don't want to talk about anything. They want to suppress speech.
No, you can speak. You just have to stay out of, sort of the no-go zones language-wise.
They want to be a town square that only drives their narratives. And you see.
Well, no, it's not a town square. It is not. It is a private entity and a virtual space, so it literally is not in the way. One of the reasons why there is a law around free speech in the town square is because the town square is in between everything. It is an actual physical fucking space that if you want to get from point A to point B, you have to go around if you're not allowed in. Twitter isn't like that. It's 100% plus and 0-0. If you don't want to partake, it's nothing. If it can help you, you can use it. But it's true of all these fucking things. And the assumption that they are is, pardon my Russian, some commie bullshit.
Seen what?
Yeah, 34.3. We're almost 35K on Twitter. On YouTube. I'm talking in circles.
Twitter's to blame for this. You see where the world is today?
Yes, Twitter. Yes, Twitter is the reason Putin invaded Russia and there's a grain shortage.
Twitter's responsible, just like they all are. Darren Beattie.
Yeah, Twitter's responsible. They all are. WeChat, Tinder. Am I right?
Absolutely. Look.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. I totally agree. I agree.
Twitter is the global public square, but it's also ground zero for coordinated influence operations.
Yes, by Russian bots, which benefited Trump and the MAGA movement for 6 fucking years.
Conducted principally by our intelligence services, allied services.
Oh, I see. Again, he's in the Rand Paul camp, that the biggest liar in the world is the U.S. government, because apparently, like what China says about their death toll, what China says about what they're planning, what China says about their economics, or what Russia says about all those things for them, that's that chump change. When America says we landed on the moon, right?
Government cutouts, NGOs, the whole bit, and so
government cutouts and NGOs, it's the same thing.
So there's a lot at stake here. And
Jesus Christ, how am I these guys so fucking boring? How's the end of the world and the worst crime ever and the destruction of everything so fucking dull? Even like when Alex Jones is like, we're in a time where the end is near and we gotta fight this, or they're gonna, like, fucking hell, man. This is how you know that they don't really believe it. This is what you're seeing some do is complain. Both these assholes complaining about the end of the world, screaming that the sky is falling. They're Chicken Little in a comfy chair. That's what this is, right, Kath? Fucking hell. They're Chicken Little in a comfy chair. That's all this is. Just fucking shit's terrible. I don't know how we're gonna survive this stuff, man. Holy hell. This is brutal. There's monsters around every corner. Hey, boy. Jesus Christ. They don't buy any of this bullshit.
Transparency of the sort that Elon has called for and which customers deserve, but conflict with the ulterior uses.
Bullshit. He lost a bunch of money on his stock that he was leveraging, and he was using this as a pump and dump scheme that he may have well bought in and bought out of very quickly. And he's using this as a wedge issue to cover his ass as he exits.
Which various organizations,
yes, NGOs are non-governmental organizations, right?
Have put Twitter. So again, we'll have to just see how it develops.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how the end of the world plays out. Get fucked. Holy hell.
Darren Beattie, you're seeing it all roll out before you.
What happened? Did he just, his hair just exploded in that last minute? Did they go to break and come back?
But I got to talk to you about this piece you put up the other day. It's another reason that Revolver is so important.
So important. Yeah. I mean, as end times whacking material goes.
The way you guys synthesize.
Yeah, they put it together. They take it and they take the news and then they know what they're like. That's, and they're like, that's what they. Oh my God.
Information and laid out. Talk about this while you got.
Jesus Christ, get on with it.
An invasion of the border. No baby formula. No diesel gas. People.
Like I was reading about this earlier. No baby formula. There has never been a moment since the invention of baby formula where there was no baby formula in the United States. And there certainly isn't fucking now. Abbott Nutrition, the maker of Similac and other popular baby formulas, on Monday said it has come to an agreement with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to fix safety issues at a Sturgis, Michigan factory that has been shuttered for more than 3 months, contributing to a nationwide shortage of baby formula. Specifically, the NeuroPro and these and the ones that are for digestive issues the kids have. This is a major step towards reopening our Sturgis facility so that we can ease the nationwide formula shortage, said Robert Ford. Here we go. We're 3 weeks away from another dead talking point. Who noted that the shortage was also exacerbated by a voluntary recall by the company, a formula that had been possibly tainted by a bacteria that sickened and killed infants. This is the part that Steve Bannon does not give a rat fuck about. It's definitely frightening if your kid has a special need as far as formula and you're having a hard time finding it. It's another thing to think that you have plenty and any of it could be the bullet in the chamber in a game of Russian roulette with your fucking baby. We know millions of parents and caregivers depend on us, and we're deeply sorry that our voluntary recall worsened the nationwide formula shortage. We will work at this, by the way, which the voluntary recall was A, a good idea, and B, definitely about covering their ass legally. We will work hard to re-earn the trust that moms, dads, and caregivers have placed in our formulas for more than 50 years. Once the FDA confirms the initial requirements have been met, they already fucking scrubbed down the whole fucking factory before they did the recall, before the FDA even knocked on their fucking door. Abbott could restart operations at the site within 2 weeks, the company said. FDA is working closely with Abbott to bring the facility back online safely. Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters Monday afternoon, that's the key here is safely. We want to make sure that it is done in a safe way. We're very close to having a path forward to safely reopen the facility. She said the administration is also moving as quickly as possible to bring in more formula from overseas. They're doing their fucking job. But these assholes, and the border's not fucking open. The number of people crossing it are like 2018 numbers. There's a lot of recidivism, people crossing more than once because they're immediately rejected because the Title 42 is still in place, and we're still operating on basically the Obama-Biden rules under Biden, which is if you're a military-age male that could be working in your own country, I'm sorry that there aren't jobs there for you, but we have people here who need those jobs and you're not in any danger. It's just a struggle. That's not enough. And we would like to take in people who are definitely in danger or are struggling, and we have limited resources to do that. So we're going to focus on like women and with with babies.
People are deciding right now whether they skip lunch over the weekend and maybe cut back on a couple of meals and change the behavior patterns. By the way, cutting back on meals for your health or doing what is fine. You're an American freedom.
You're an American freedom.
Doing it because you don't have the money is not fine.
Right. So what do you want to do? Restart the unemployment insurance?
That's not fine.
Uh-huh. How about child income tax credit? You could solve it that way, fucko.
Okay, doing it for your health and for other reasons.
Yeah, you should try it. I'm going to go out on a limb there, Steve, and say that is a behavior that you and your guest have written off.
That's perfect because it's a free country and you're a free man or woman. But that your freedom's being
I can be both?
taken away. Darren Beattie, while this is all going on,
none of that is going on in any way that he gives a shit about.
Mitch McConnell gets on a plane and flies over to Kiev to brag about them and wants a photo op on the 40 billion. And thank God
For Rand Paul?
For Rand Paul.
Right. For what? Delaying it 6 days so a bunch of people can needlessly die in case there's a hitch in the funding. So, and by the way, the money runs out this week. And so the holdup was really just to delay it until the very last second or basically make a gap in the funding. But like even this fuckery that Rand Paul is doing is not going to have a material impact on this.
Because if he had not stood up, they were going over for 40 to hand him a check.
No, they weren't. They were not going over there to hand him a check. That's not how any of that works. The $40 billion doesn't just go straight to them like, hey, spend this how you want. And by any estimation, most of it goes right back into either American defense coffers or into NGOs we work with specifically through USAID to feed, clothe, and house refugees who have left the country.
Hand him a check, Darren Beattie.
No, they're not going to hand him a check. They didn't go over there like it was a fucking telethon.
Absolutely. And in fact,
absolutely. No, not absolutely.
One of the tweets included in our piece.
Ooh, tweets.
Here, people are saying it's one of the best they've ever read on Ukraine.
Yeah, one of the best tweets I've ever read.
Ukraine. It's a quote from Mitch McConnell. It says, "We all agree that the most important thing going on in the world right now is the war in Ukraine. Well, we need to send $40 billion. But to put that number into perspective, just a few things. It's roughly three times the final cost of the unfinished border wall. If the U.S.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The premise I call into question. A, Trump says the border wall was already finished. There was excess portions. So Trump, talk to Trump if you want to say that it wasn't finished, because he now says it was. Hold on. Is there an issue here? There we go. One second. And then, secondly, why is it anybody's business, in this particular case? Wait, hold on. What's happening here? Hold on. There we go. Sorry. I'm fixing something real quick. Hold on. Here we go. And then the premise, I call into question the premise that we are somehow that this is a zero-sum game in that regard. Hold on. So let's see. Hold on one second. There we go. All right. I was just fixing something.
Aid here were a national military budget. It would be the 10th largest military budget in the world, just ahead of South Korea.
Right. Who is not currently engaged in a war.
$43 billion is more than the cost of the entire first 8 years of the war in Afghanistan. And when you match that with what we've already given,
What about the last 12? Including the 4 where Trump was president when he said he was going to get us out and he never fucking did.
It exceeds the cost of 1991's Gulf War.
Oh, shit. Not the 1991 Gulf War. How does it compare to the Falklands? What about Grenada? Is there a sliding scale or just a slide whistle?
So this is a crazy amount of money that...
No, it's not. It's not a fucking crazy amount of money at all. Like, dude, the bill for Sandy, for Hurricane Sandy was $51 billion. And that was for our own state, so there's no getting it paid back. Again, Ukraine doesn't just get to keep this money in the abstract. Eventually, it's going to pay off once they're rebuilt, and that money starts coming back to us. They pay, right now, they've met their obligations, paying off their bonds that they've had in this process through their own grain exports, even with them as stymied as much as they are. You know who hasn't? China.
That when put in perspective really underscores how much contempt the ruling class has for the American people.
The ruling class? What? It's just everybody on the derp state elites bandwagon now? I don't go a ruling class. We don't have a ruling class. I don't even take a lesson in ruling. I wanna take a class in ruling so we can learn the rules. But I don't.
People. But actually, it's far worse than just wasting money.
Oh, there's nothing worse than wasting money. I know. Because one day I had 2 poo-poo diapers instead of 1 poo-poo diaper, and they're very expensive. And we only brought 3 poo-poo diapers, and if I poo-poo diaper one more time, it would have been a waste of a poo-poo diaper.
Because what it's doing is actually prolonging the conflict.
That's what, yes. The best thing that could possibly happen is that everybody, according to this man, that everybody in Ukraine just hurry up and die already. You know what I mean? They're like a sick goldfish. And it's like, I'm not gonna make it. And the toilets are waiting. And we're gonna go flush. So might as well hurry up. Oh, you know what? It's like my drunk uncle used to say all the time. Why don't you just go ahead and flush it anyways? It might survive better in the sewer pipe.
The more money we push into this system,
that's what he said.
The more it prevents the various parties, Ukraine and Russia, from getting to the negotiating table.
That's not a real thing. Look, I recognize I'm a very small. I'm a little boy. But like if I have a bully on a playground and the bully gives me, it says, the 2 things gonna get hit. I'm gonna hit you and you're gonna hit the ground. And I go, can we talk about this? And he goes, yes. I'm gonna hit you and you're gonna hit the ground. Is that enough talk? And I go, no, I mean about not getting hit. And he's like, look, here's how it's gonna work. I'm gonna hit you and you're gonna hit the ground. And I go, okay, I'm really thinking I might have to punch you in the gym if you try that. What happens if I duck the first punch? Well, and he goes, if you duck the first punch, I'm gonna punch you, I'm gonna hit you, and you're gonna hit the ground. This doesn't sound like a negotiation to me. We can stand here all day.
And that's what this is all about.
No, excuse me. The hokey pokey is what it's all about. Were you not paying attention in recess?
When Darren Beattie and other conservative Inc. things said, no, we're for de-escalation.
But this man would make me want to find out that Santa Claus isn't real. He looks like Santa Claus just fell through the cracks of society.
We're for de-escalation because if you don't do it, look what's happening in India. Look at Sri Lanka. Look what's happening down in Latin America.
What's happening in Sri Lanka? That's not. Did Russia attack India, Sri Lanka, and Latin America too? Those guys are jerks.
Look what's happening on our southern border.
Oh my gosh, Russia has attacked the southern border.
You're going to have the Camp of the Saints, okay?
No.
With this
The Boy Scout camp is way more fun. I'm just a weebelo, but trust me.
bad as certain elements, so as bad as certain elements of that book are, it's quite prophetic. This is what the elites in Davos, in NATO, they're driving.
Oh no, it's I have to go. If they say Davos, it's my cue. We moved into Alex Jones territory in the middle of that. I don't know if you noticed, but the talking points are starting to overlap. Coincidence? I think not.
This, and they sit there. Look, they knew about this. Their intelligence. They brag about it. Oh yeah, we kind of knew about it in September, October. Started watching. Well, why didn't you think about the food? Why didn't you think about the fuel?
Right.
Who? You mean Russia?
So smart. Tell the people in Sri Lanka. Tell the dead women and children in eastern Ukraine.
What?
See what they would vote for now. Would they vote for de-escalation or more escalation?
Well, they're dead.
Darren Beattie.
And largely because they seem to vote for escalation.
Look, Steve, this is the thing. It's far worse than simply a waste of money. This money is not going to preserve or establish peace. It's going to prolong the war.
By the way, this is a regular right-wing argument, in all seriousness. This has shown up all over the place, and this is the primary one. This is the one actually MTG has been talking about, and he's one of the assholes she got it from. And the idea is look, the Ukrainians, they're gonna lose. And they can lose now and have fewer dead and just let Russia have what it wants. And if you do that, then, you know, fewer Ukrainians have to die because they're going to fucking lose and there's no way out. And that's why we need to stop pouring money in there because they're just going to end up dead anyways. You know, so why spend the money trying to keep them alive a little bit? It's basically like a bunch of people standing around a relatively healthy human being who's on life support in their mind, and they're like, let's just unplug the fucker. And the reality is that Ukraine is fucking winning, and they're going to push Russia all the way out of Crimea. And that's what these assholes are scrambling about. Because Paul Manafort, who was linked with Steve Bannon and Roger Stone and all those fuckers, they had one job. And one of their one jobs was to help facilitate Russian expansion in Ukraine through Yanukovych remaining in power in 2014 with the snipers and all that kind of shit, and Russia retaining Donetsk and Luhansk and creating these autonomous regions and keeping Crimea and then spreading across into connecting across the south to Moldova and owning all that land, including Odessa, choking off Ukraine and slowly salami slicing through the country as the economy fails while retaining all of the Black Sea and all the energy that's in there. That was the whole point. That's the whole point of Russia's expansion. That's what Russia was expecting of Paul Manafort and Donald Trump and Roger Stone and Steve Bannon and all these fuckers, and they fucking failed. And it's worse even than that. They you know, just like everything Trump touches, it fucking died. It is yet another. This is the Trump stakes of battle plans. And they are in a real panic right now that the only way the Ukrainians will lose and the only way Russia has a fucking shot, if this country and France, and that's why they were pushing Marie Le Pen over there, and the UK and others tap the brakes, especially through Germany, tap the brakes on NATO support for Ukraine especially. Don't expand into Finland and Sweden. That's too late. But if they could just slow, that's what Rand Paul's there to do. Just slow this money down a little bit, give Russia time to regroup. They'll have more guys in there, and then they can make a second push, and then they'll just use tactical nukes and fuck up the whole country. Trump was going to hand Ukraine to them in his second term. He was going to stiff-arm NATO and say it's none of our fucking business. And all of this support, which is the reason why Ukraine is winning, was going to be denied. That was Trump's job. And he lost the election fair and fucking square. And so they had to just do it on their own because Putin's not healthy and he doesn't have a lot of time left. And everybody, by the way, it's not just him. Everybody wants to talk about what a lunatic he is, and he certainly is. But the guys around him, there's like 5 or 6 primary guys who agree with him on this bullshit, including the guy that he handed power to on his Security Council, who's even more of a hard ass about this bullshit, who's in the, you know, the Goebbels and Himmler crowd.
Most people don't understand America has total leverage here. The more money we funnel into the system, the more prolonged the war will be.
No. If we don't put this in, the war with Russia in Ukraine will be the beginning of it. They want Lithuania and Latvia. They want Moldova. They want to expand further into Chechnya. They've said so. Only an asshole thinks this stops at Ukraine. Yes, we have our one of our resident trolls who's in the chat who goes by Tony Clifton, and I think it's a great example of how I stand by what I say. I will put forward everything that I feel or believe about this ethically, philosophically, ideologically, and psychologically. And the only real pushback I get are from sock puppet bullshit accounts by people who don't even use their real name.
Because it prevents both sides from going to the negotiating table. Dan Crenshaw.
No, it doesn't. There is no negotiating table. At the first negotiating table, Russia had a spy of their own there undermining it. The second time they met, they poisoned 2 of the people there. There is no negotiating table. They have no negotiation point. Russia said every time is, we're claiming this region and we're going to keep all of the area on the east. And they're like, what are you talking about? You don't even have military control over that. And they're like, give it or we'll keep killing you. That's been the negotiation every fucking time. The money has nothing to do with it.
Shaw put it in a brutal fashion. He does not mince words about what he wants.
He does not mince words.
Do. He said, yeah, because investing in the destruction of our adversary's military without losing a single American troop strikes me as a good idea.
Right. Because they will use those troops and those military weapons to affect non-NATO and NATO countries alike, because they have said we are in a World War II inflection moment around the Rhineland and Poland. This is the Chamberlain crowd. This is the hashtag neo-Chamberlainism.
So this is not about Ukraine. This is about...
Yes, it is. It is about Ukraine. Because Ukraine should be free and have sovereignty over its land, just like all these other countries that Russia is pressuring. What Sweden and Finland have learned is that they were tapping the brakes on NATO, on joining NATO, because they thought, well, Russia's not going to do any of this shit. A lot of it's talk, and they're not really going to come in. And then as soon as they attacked Ukraine, they're like, oh shit, this guy's nuts. They're going to do this same bullshit.
About putting Russia into a kind of forever war quagmire situation, which is
yeah, they're putting Russia into this forever war quagmire. Russia has no choice in this, guys. I mean, it's a pit bull in a daycare center, and it's our fault that it decided to jump through the window and start shaking babies.
Extremely dangerous.
And if we try to get the babies out or protect the babies from the dog, we're just prolonging the inevitable. Eventually, what you really need to do in that situation is just get back, everybody clear the area, and let the dog wear himself out shaking babies.
Dangerous, because if they feel like they're backed into a corner, then nukes are on the table. The possibility...
All right, and again, this fucking bullshit. The idea of mutual assured destruction was supposedly there to keep everybody at peace. And now what Russia has learned is that the threat of mutual assured destruction has allowed them, under the umbrella of that, to basically wreak havoc anywhere in traditional warfare, anywhere they fucking want. Georgia, Chechnya, Eastern Ukraine. Fuck it. You know, like everybody's so afraid that they're going to launch their nukes. We could pretty much fuck up anybody we want. We're armed, so we could just sit there and go, well, you know, I'll shoot the hostage and myself, I guess, in this process. So let me just beat them to death. It's so stupid.
of a war with NATO is on the table. And just as one,
a war with NATO is not on the table unless it's that giant long table in front of Vladimir Putin and he puts it there. NATO is not expanding in any way that is going to cause him any danger. It is a defensive organization, and that has never been more clear.
really disturbing example from the piece. That sunken ship, it was sunk, the Russian ship, it was sunk by the aid of U.S. intelligence.
Yeah, but they didn't tell. You could buy satellite imagery. They could fucking see the thing. Yes, we were like, here's a view. We're not going to tell you what to blow up, but here's our view. We're allowing you to look through our binoculars. That's not us strategically going, shoot that first, shoot that, destroy that. That's not what we're doing. We're helping a friend. Because, by the way, Russia has all that shit. They have satellites. They have drones. They don't know how to fucking use them, apparently. They're terrible tactically. They're a bunch of morons. Or they have been lying about what they have for so long that the oligarchs that run their military have been siphoning money out of it that none of it fucking works. They're just chucking tin cans into the sky with no lenses on the goddamn thing, so none of their satellites are worth a shit. Here we are on the ground thinking they're mounting lasers on the fucking things, and they're garbage. But they have, in theory, all of that stuff. Ukraine doesn't. So they're just supposed to die because they were busy having grain fields and trying to expand their oil and gas system without having nukes, without having, by being just a normal European country. Just fuck them. That's what it is. Russia has been able to build up this giant military, allegedly, over these years, scaring the fuck out of everyone, invading Chechnya, invading Georgia, invading Ukraine once already. And if they do it again, and just shell the fuck out of civilians and cities, just leveling the goddamn country, the rest of the world is going, hey, none of our fucking business. Got to let it happen.
Remember when our intel officials were lying to us and saying about the bounties, the Taliban bounties that Russians were paying?
They didn't lie. That wasn't a lie. They just said it wasn't actionable intelligence. They had heard it, but they didn't hear it. They didn't have enough clarity on that intelligence to act on it. That's all. You can hear something that turns out to be true. You can also hear something that turns out to be false. If you're going to make a giant military campaign out of something or accuse another country of something extraordinary, you can't just hear it and hope. You have to hear it and then follow it up and check 3 times. It's kind of like a journalist doing a story like in of a President's Men, where you got to check 3 sources or the editor's not going to let it go through. If you've only got 2 sources, 2 of them are great. You totally believe it. The third guy isn't picking up his fucking phone. The story doesn't go through. That's where they were with that story. That's it. They didn't lie. They just said, we have information this is happening, but it's not actionable intelligence. We don't have it on paper. We don't have a hard drive. We don't have an email from somebody, or we don't have an intercepted verbal message. And this is extraordinary.
Paying for, and that was an act of war. Well, what is it that...
No, it wasn't an act of war. That's exactly why. They didn't act on it, fucko. They heard about it. They knew it. They were like, this is more than likely true, but it was not at the level where they could act on it. You know how we know? Because we're not at fucking war with Russia.
That we're doing.
Yeah.
We're playing a very dangerous game here.
It's not a game. You're an idiot. This is silly. These people are children. This is so fucked up and childish.
By the way, if you're a Republican, you want to follow the brains and geniuses of Dan Crenshaw and Mitch McConnell, go for it. But we are going to run the tables on you. Darren Beattie,
you're going to run the tables. Yes, tip of the spear, crack of my ass.
Get your Revolver. How are they following on social media?
I don't care. Hold on. We need to do promos. Look at the articles, okay. Why funding Ukraine is just dead wrong. Having failed against Matt Gaetz, the globalist American empire tries East Germany's Stasi tactics on Madison Cawthorn. What the fuck? Look at the second headline here. The globalist American empire. What the fuck are you talking about? This is Republican political action. People are chucking shit at like 2 Democrats in his district who hate him. This is just regular run-of-the-mill, like, rat fucking, which is, by the way, call up Roger Stone and ask him his opinion on the attacks on Madison Cawthorn. He'll go, yeah, it's solid stuff. I mean, it's not as classy as the stuff I used to do, but it's right up there.
Darren J. Beattie and Revolver News were on Gitter.
Blah, blah, blah. Trump, $48 billion to Ukraine. Europe should pay their fair share. They are stupid. And what do you mean their fair share? Homepage of the American people. Jesus Christ. Didn't Revolver used to actually be I guess it's Revolver News. Isn't there a rock magazine called Revolver? It's not the same thing. Yeah, revolver.news.
At Revolver News. Check it out. Read it. Share it.
No.
And
Netflix touts free speech in company memo, says offended employees can leave.
thank you.
God, these assholes. It's the same shit.